If you thought 2023 didn't have enough GPUs on its plate, AMD has just recently released the new Radeon RX 7700 XT and 7800 XT. These cards mark some of the brand's high-end offerings on the market with some impressive tech and performance. They specifically fall under the 7900 XT model. They are also quite well priced. The 7700 XT costs 11,500 Rand and the 7800 XT costs 14,000 Rand. I received the Gigabyte Radeon RX 7800 XT gaming OC to review, which like other gaming OC models from the brand comes slightly overclocked out of the box. The boost clock on this card is 2565 MHz compared to 2430 MHz on the reference card. The game clock is 2254 MHz compared to 2124 MHz. It comes with 16GB of RAM with a 256-bit memory interface with 624 GB per second of memory bandwidth. Other features on this card include Gigabyte's Windforce cooling system, which has proven to be quite brilliant in the past. It packs 3,840 stream processors, 60 compute units, and 60 ray accelerators. The card recommends a 700-watt power supply to power all of this tech. For the most part, the Gigabyte Radeon RX 7800 XT Gaming OC aims to deliver better options for gamers who are looking for more powerful cards at affordable prices. Affordable here means compared to other models and brands, of course. AMD is especially leaning on its RDNA 3 hardware, which aims to make a big dent in upscaling techniques across games. Of course, FSR 3 is where it's going to see even more improvements, and in a way, this card could be seen as an investment for things to come because at this time of review, FSR 3.0 isn't available. So with that in mind, I spent a week with the Gigabyte Radeon RX 7800 XT Gaming OC GPU, and here are some of my thoughts. The Gigabyte Radeon RX 7800 XT Gaming OC is definitely a Gigabyte card. It has the brand's iconic gaming OC look and feel to it with three 90mm fans on the top which make up the Windforce cooling system. The center fan spins in the opposite direction and there's a screen cooling vent on the opposite side to dissipate heat. This is situated over an extended heatsink which helps keep everything cool. There's very little RGB on the card. Unlike Gigabyte's higher-end RTX cards which include RGB fans, the only RGB on this card is over the Gigabyte logo. The card is 302mm long, 130mm wide and 56mm thick. In comparison to other large GPUs, it is just as hefty. It is slightly smaller than my RTX 4070 Ti, but it is still a large card and you'll need to make sure you have a case that can handle it. When it comes to the ports, the card includes two HDMI 2.1 ports and two DisplayPort 2.1s. It also uses a standard 8-pin power connector. This is expected given it's an AMD card and not an Nvidia unit. I haven't ever called Gigabyte's gaming OC range flashy, and that's not going to change here either. It is a black card and gets the job done. It is a pity about the RGB because I feel like in this price bracket it should be an included feature by now. I also think Gigabyte needs a design refresh now. We have seen the same gaming OC design for 2 years now, so hopefully next year will bring something new. The Gigabyte Radeon RX 7800 is in a good spot on the market. It promises to deliver RDNA 3 hardware, which means this card will be relevant for a while now. It will also support FSR 3.0 whenever it arrives, and as new games release and older ones get updated, there will always be extended value here to enjoy. The card is targeted at 1440p gaming, but that doesn't mean it can't achieve some decent 4K performance with the right settings. I made sure to test out some of the more demanding games which have released recently. These include Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Starfield, The Crew Motorfest and more. Here are some of the results I got. can see from the test that this Gigabyte Radeon RX 7800 XT gaming OC is definitely a 1440p card. In some cases, you'll be able to get away with 4K gaming, but it will struggle on the latest games. I managed to get Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart to run at 30 FPS maxed out with ray tracing enabled, leveraging FSR2, but the upscaling noise was unbearable. But the card did breeze through 1440p tests with or without FSR in some cases. When it came to cooling, I was surprised to see how hot this card got. So much so that I heard the fans kick into gear each time I launched the game. This is not something I experienced with many cards. That isn't to say the card gets worryingly hot. It hits 71 degrees Celsius, but the fans are loud and distracting. The fans just rev up in order to keep things from getting any warmer. I measured 2130 RPM, which is definitely noticeable. If anything, this is the loudest Gigabyte card I have used in a while. The card also used 289 watts of power during these tests. Of course, you can tweak the fan noise down and everything else if it starts to annoy you. With the promise of FSR3 on the horizon, the Gigabyte Radeon RX 7800 XT gaming OC definitely delivers on its 1440p promise. It is a solid card that doesn't break the bank. Sure, the fan noise is a drawback, but the performance here offers some great value for money, especially if you're team AMD and you're hoping that FSR3 will help bring the brand to the same level as DLSS. The first card to compare here would be the RTX 4060 Ti. While substantially cheaper, it packs 8GB of RAM and the performance isn't up to scratch. It also has a limited memory interface that forces you into the 1080p spectrum. You can then compare this to the RTX 4070, which is almost identical in price depending on where you're shopping, but that too only comes with 12GB of RAM. The next one up would be the 4070 Ti, which costs a bit more. So I think the RX 7800 XT sits in a great spot between all of this. So those are my thoughts on the Gigabyte Radeon RX 7800 XT gaming OC. It is definitely a decent 1440p card that has some great value for money. As always, thanks for stopping by and giving this a watch. Please do consider liking and subscribing for more future content. Be sure to visit www.glitch.online for more gaming tech news and reviews. Until next time, farewell.